All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the tavern. My name is Tarek, and I will be your host for tonight. And joining with me tonight is Wissia,
Yo, what's up, everyone?
our our lovely barmaid Becca,
Hello, hello, hello.
and well, I'm not too sure if he's lovely, but he's a good pal. So welcome, Codex.
Hello.
All right, so not last Thursday, but previous Thursday, I did go see Spider-Verse at about, I don't remember, 7 o'clock at night, and it was a weird one. Are any of you familiar with Lords and Miller's other work?
No, not really.
Can't I have?
You may not know their names, their name, but you may know their other work. They were the guys who created Clone High, if you've heard of that show.
Oh, yeah, I
nope.
think I have.
Okay,
I have heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
They were responsible for the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs movie.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
definitely seen that.
Okay.
They were the guys who did 21 and 22 Jump Street back in 2020, 2012, and 2014. And you may also know them from the Lego movie.
Oh,
Shit, they're behind the Lego movie?
Yeah, they were the writers of the Lego movie and the directors.
now that makes sense.
And I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off right now. It has Spider-Verse 2 has a lot of the same problems as, say, the Lego movie 2. It's not as strongly written, it's not as strong as a movie, and it feels like something was lost in translation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that, because Into the Spider-Verse was kind of a big hit. I don't really think a whole lot of people saw that coming.
Into the Spider-Verse was Into the Spider-Verse, in my opinion, was the thing that redeemed Miles Morales as a character. Because I actually read the Ultimate Comic line when I had the Marvel subscription. And the biggest problem with Miles when they introduced him was they had absolutely no idea what to do with him. They had just killed off Ultimate Peter Parker, and obviously Miles was supposed to be what they slotted in to replace him. But the original idea for Miles, not many people gravitated to. They may say they did, but I can promise you they didn't, because they had no idea what they were doing with him. He didn't even really have his own character until Spider-Verse.
Shit, that's an indictment.
I did hear that, yes.
And it's only because of Spider-Verse that he kind of works in the original Marvel Spider-Man on PS4. I never played Miles Morales, his own game, so I can't really speak to that, but I heard it wasn't very good writing-wise.
I mean, my little brother did play it. He absolutely enjoyed the ever-living crap out of it, but I never got his opinion on the actual story.
So with that, the way the movie starts is basically we see Gwen's dimension, where Peter, which I kind of like this twist a little. Peter became the Lizard because he never got the spider powers. He was still being bullied. So he, instead of being a school shooter, he becomes the Lizard and starts terrorizing that way.
Hey, Gwen, you've always been
Well-
pretty cool to me. Don't come to school tomorrow.
Exactly.
Why are your eyes green? Hiss. Don't ask any questions.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like that, it was kind of a neat idea. They've kind of done it before, but under different circumstances. But I like this twist. Anyways, so what happens is Peter gets killed. Captain Stacy blames Spider-Gwen for Peter's death, and it shows like he was close with the entire family, not just with Gwen. So that's the whole thing there. And now you deal with the backlash of her dealing. How to describe this? She's dealing with the backlash that her father thinks Spider-Gwen killed Peter Parker.
You know, despite her obviously being Peter's girlfriend, I'm assuming.
Well, he doesn't know she's Spider-Gwen.
Well,
Yeah. But that lead takes us into the first part of the movie where there's an attack at the Museum of New York, and what happens is it's being attacked by the Vulture. But what's kind of neat about this Vulture is that it's an Italian Renaissance Vulture. So
he's used to say that, yeah. Like the
he's using
he's just
it's neat. It's really cool. Like it's done like in the style of the Vitruvian Man. You know, in terms of like a lot of pencil work, a lot of parchment work. That's the entire design of Vulture. And that was really neat in my opinion.
Yeah. That is absolutely an inspired choice, and well, what a thing to pick for your inspiration, eh?
Yeah, so we get this really cool.
I wanted to just circle back on something. Like, I imagine freaking Gwen Stacy in this universe is not having a good time in the goddamn slightest. Imagine your boyfriend dying and then being blamed for it, but nobody actually knows that they're blaming you for it.
Well, this is the same. It's kind of the reverse of what happened with Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy in the original canon. Like Captain Stacy was already dead, but you know, people blamed Peter or Spider-Man for what happened to Gwen, and he blames himself to this day over like 50, 60 years later. But that's besides the point. So anyways, to help deal with Vulture, Jessica Drew shows up, and I'm not as familiar with Spider-Woman as I am with Spider-Man, but this is not the traditional Spider-Woman or the Jessica. I don't remember, and I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Jessica Drew is like this brown-haired white woman in a red suit. This this Jessica Drew is a black woman with a large afro, and she's riding a motorcycle and going into combat while pregnant.
Yep, I saw those clips all around Twitter, and I just instantly thought, what the fuck?
Although
what happened to responsibility?
It's Honor all over again.
Here's the thing about that, though. I'll get to this later, but I think that maybe all spider people are just terrible, irresponsible parents. Not terrible parents, irresponsible parents.
We had like a whole conversation about like you can play with the themes about parenting and like responsibility. Like you can have an irresponsible character, but it kind of has to reflect in the world that it's irresponsible. You know what I mean? I haven't seen the movie, but I found the discussion interesting.
Yeah.
But anyways, so maybe this is a spider person thing. This isn't just this isn't just a bad decision on Jessica's part. I still don't know what her power set is. She has the web shooters on the gauntlets she has, and she has the motorcycle. I have no idea what her power set is, though.
It kind of doesn't matter though, because regardless of what your power set is, if you are pregnant by the
I'm not
basics
talking
of how
about
that works. Oh right, okay.
I'm not. We're past that.
Oh okay.
I just mean like I've never I assume she has a lot of the same powers Peter does, like the 616 Jessica, but I have no idea what this one is supposed to be capable of doing other than putting an unborn child in harm's way.
Well, you
Maybe
kind of
in a
need
Kira
to,
reference?
I guess in that sense, then you kind of need to know what the normal extent of her powers is, kind of see how much it's holding her back, because at least then that would be like biologically realistic to some degree. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing, because
Go ahead.
I don't think she is held back by that. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, that's not how bodies work.
They're
stupid people.
She takes a hit in that movie, and I turn to my friend and I tell him that baby is nothing more than stewed tomatoes now. There is nothing left of that fetus.
But also, like, and this, like, in the gut of a woman, even obviously one that has never been pregnant, but like, it's an intrinsic sickening feeling to risk like doing something physical that would lose a mate. Like
You
the
mean
idea
pulling?
of the
Go.
idea of a miscarriage is a freaky concept to most sane women. Like it's horrifying. Oh my god, I have exerted myself to the point I've killed something. Like it's an awful concept. You would feel emotionally fucked if you even got close to doing that. You know, I don't know.
I mean,
And-
I would be emotionally fucked just seeing that.
Oh yeah, it's not a nice thing. It's not a light haha. I can still do things. Don't you underestimate me. It's like, yeah, I
Sweetheart,
underestimate you.
sweetheart. I would,
Yeah.
if you ever get pregnant, I'm gonna put you on a motorcycle until you see how long it takes for you to get sick. And the reason
my-
I say that is
No,
because
you're not. No, you're not. For one,
here's
my mother would actually throw you in the sea.
you live a long way from the sea too. That would be just impressive.
Look. Well, one, if I would assume I'd be living with you, and she would fly over and throw you in the sea personally.
That's even
herself,
more
but,
impressive. She went all out of her way to kick my ass.
You know that she specifically stopped going on motorbikes the second she found out she was pregnant with me. That's like her rule. That's specifically why.
Anyways,
She would
but
actually kill
here's
you.
the thing.
Anyway.
Here's the thing, Rebecca. I gotta test my hypothesis because my hypothesis is we'll go maybe 5 feet at 2 miles an hour, and I have a feeling you're gonna want to puke. So how the fuck is this woman doing Akira shit while doing Spider Person's shit too?
Oh my god.
Now
God
I
damn
will
it.
say,
You just remind me of the stupid meme going around the internet. Leave me alone! Ding! Akira!
Oh yeah, that is a thing.
Yeah.
but no, I will say, different women cope with it better than others. Some women it just like wrecks them. Other women are pretty just getting on with their life.
Yeah, but at
they
8
get right to the
months?
last couple. Okay, 8 months.
Hmm.
Yeah, but even then, there's some that are bedridden and some that can like still sort of they get out of breath, but they're still getting go. They're still doing things. But we're talking walking to the shops, not flying around on a fucking web.
I mean, yeah, I did actually see. I actually found like a clip of some pregnant chicks still working out while, preggers.
Why?
No, that makes
depends-
sense. That makes sense because I think you can do upper body, but you need to
It
be
depends.
careful.
Okay.
It depends on the type of exercise. It depends on the intensity. You don't want to go too intense, and it depends on how far gone you are.
Right.
There are certain exercises you probably want to do
Okay,
because
okay.
there's
I
a
respect
certain exerting thing right at the end of pregnancy that you might want to keep your body in shape for.
I mean, I just looked at it. I just thought, damn, a pregnant woman is doing good workouts. I have no
I mean-
excuse.
good for them, looking after themselves, but they have to you obviously have to
Mm.
make sure you've what is safe and what isn't. But yeah.
Anyways, moving on. So what happens after that is we finally get to see Miles after like 15-20 minutes of the movie. But something occurred to me that I kind of thought about but didn't think about. Well, no, I thought about this the moment Gwen mentioned it in the beginning. Why is she all of a sudden obsessed with Miles, like pining over him? I get it. Her Peter Parker is... Oh, I forgot a bit, but we'll get to that in a moment. Why is she pining over Miles? Someone she knew about for what? Maybe 3 days? I mean... why is she obsessed with him now?
Look, 3 days isn't a very long time. I guarantee that you can form pretty close bonds within that time period, but under extraordinary circumstances. But
you could argue like the
obsessing.
first movie was an extraordinary circumstance, but she is like infatuated with him.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I mean-
am in 100% agreement. That is weird.
That's maybe the
Yeah.
right word, to be fair, because infatuation is like the short-term kick in the head hormone thing. So I can kind of like, it's not necessarily a long-sustaining bond you formed, but you can form an obsessive like drawing to a person. But pining implies you fell in love with someone over years and then haven't seen them for more time than that, and
Here's the thing
you're
with
spending all your
Miles.
time thinking about them.
With Miles, it makes sense because he went from like what 13 to 16 or something like between then. God, now that I think about the way time works in these movies makes absolutely no sense. And the reason I say that is because going back to the Jessica Drew thing, we learned Gwen's been with the Spidey Patrol for months. Drew is still pregnant, and is she giving birth to actual spiders? I don't know a spider's gestation period, but what the fuck is going on with that baby?
Is it the
Probably the best we don't know.
I never watched Friends properly, but I remember that there's some kind of plot line where it's like if you actually count the amount of time that should have passed when one of the characters was pregnant, it was like 2 years. And
Rachel,
God damn.
Good.
I mean, to be fair, Friends is a different matter. This woman is
I
trying.
know.
to
It just made me think of that.
I know, but
I
this
know,
woman
it's
is trying
true.
through dimensions as well. So
wait, the reason why I said Rachel was Rachel the friend who got pregnant. I never watched Friends. My sister has, but I'd have to ask my sister. She would definitely know.
I feel like it's not like attention isn't drawn to it. It's just if you work it out from like how many Christmases or whatever it is that they have, or something like that. It's like you can
okay.
pinpoint what time of year it has been since that time, or something, and people worked it out and went, "That's kind of a long time to be
Damn.
pregnant for. What the fuck happened?"
One, and anyways, so okay, so Miles is doing the we then cut to Miles doing the Spider-Man thing, and actually I kind of like how they still haven't made him as proficient as Peter was in either the Ultimate Universe or the one we saw in the movie, as well as the Spider-Man game. Like, he's still making mistakes, he's still causing more damage than needed, and I actually kind of like that. It shows he's still learning the ropes after all these years, because it took Peter like 10 years before he finally figured out what he was doing.
Yep. But actually, just a funny thing in the Miles Morales game, little detail: whenever Miles is swinging around on the webs, you can actually see him flailing around a little bit between every single web shot. Meanwhile, in the Spider-Man game previous, Peter's just swinging around and flying gracefully through the air while Miles is like freaking out.
I mean, to be fair, it's a new sensation being 80 stories up and then skydiving.
Yeah.
But what else is there? But so we get to watch him fight Spot, and I actually knew who this villain was because I watched the 90s animated show, and I was kind of happy to see him. But for some reason, he thinks my friend pointed this out to me. So Spot is all this vindictive because Miles threw a bagel at him. And I said, yeah, he threw a bagel at him, and all of a sudden he decided, I'm going to become your worst nightmare. And it was the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen. I know there's more to it than that, but the first thing he mentioned was, you threw a bagel at my head.
This man would never survive dinner in my house even for a day. My goodness.
I don't even know how he survived the real world.
Like, come on. Like, who doesn't eat
bagels
dinner?
are dangerous, don't you know?
Who doesn't throw bread at your family members at dinner?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
most functioning people.
I mean,
it might not be
most
bread.
adults.
It might be like a piece of onion, or
Rogan not
most
survive an
adults.
airbag household.
a pee because your mother thinks it's really funny to go, I peed on you.
Jesus.
Yeah, bro would not survive an airbag household. That's all I'm going to say. Well, so Maya throws a shoe at him. Well, oh my god, it hurts so much. Why do you throw
I love it. I love
shoe.
it.
Give me back
I
the
love
shoe
it.
right now.
The only difference between Arabs and Asians, Arabs go for the range build. Asians go for the melee build.
Oh, you think we don't pull out the friggin' belt either?
No, I just mean when it comes to shoes, Asians just like to smack you with them. Apparently, Arabs like to throw them. That's what I meant by ranged and melee build.
Nice.
Dear me.
So
Yeah, good old fight.
you actually get a really cool fight scene between Miles and Spot, because the way Spot works is he can open wormholes between himself and other places. So you get this really cool, admittedly really cool fight scene where Miles kind of needs to figure out how to avoid or how to use the tears against him. And it feels like it's not even worth mentioning a lot of the family stuff that happens in this movie. I know it's important, but my God, is it boring?
Yeah.
Because the drama just doesn't feel there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about, because I have some family drama going on in my own story that I just had to go back and redo some dialogue because I'm like, it feels off, you know? Family drama can be pretty hard.
I think it's because the more I'm thinking about it, maybe it's because Miles doesn't have a lot of agency in those scenes, and I get it. He's a kid still. He's like 15, 16 years old, and you're still beholden to your parents at that age. But I think it's the way they're talking to him is like he's 12.
Yeah.
I mean, if Miles ever pointed that out in the film, you could actually use that as a source of drama, but something tells me that they didn't.
No. Codex,
Not
have you
really,
seen
no.
it?
Sorry?
Did you see the movie?
Yeah, I did see the film, yeah.
You did. Okay. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure I'm not forgetting anything. But I meant to go back to Gwen Stacy. Father of the Year right here. So dad's about to blow her brains out because he's like, you're under arrest for the murder of Peter Parker. She takes off her mask, shows it's Gwen to her dad, and her dad still points the gun at her. There are a lot of awful, awful parents in this movie.
Wow.
I have no words for that. I mean, I guess in his defense, what probably passed through his head is like, okay, so it's my own kid who did this.
I'm still a cop.
Yeah. I still have a job to do.
I see the rationale behind it. You got to be the cop or you got to be the dad. You can't be both. But what father? If it was a bad relationship, I would kind of understand it. And I know that's very callous to say, but you get what I mean. Like, if the child was a tangible threat. Now, he's under the impression that Gwen killed Peter, but this is a kid you know very well who has not killed anyone else. Wouldn't you want to get the story rather than make the assumption?
Yeah,
And
plus
also,
Yes, you
like,
would.
like added to that, even if you knew your kid was like a danger, you would still be sweating bullets and really hesitant and possibly able to make a mistake and put the gun down, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you would be extremely conflicted unless you were a psychopath. Like,
well, that's the
He
funny
was
thing, 'cause
cold about it.
Yeah, but prior to that, before Peter died, she saved a lot of people from the prom or something like that. Like,
Yeah, that's
she
what I'm
was-
saying.
went-
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like she has a body count. She has one, and that was under a different under a circumstance out of her control. Again, the dad doesn't know that, but
he also knows his daughter.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he thought he did, and then I turned to my friend and I said, I would have screwed this up probably about a month into my superhero career. Like, bye, mom, bye, dad. I gotta go stop Green Goblin or something. I'll see you later. I would have fucked this up like month one. He said, "No, you would have done it in 10 minutes." I said, "Well, at least give me some time to get home before I fuck it up."
I'm just imagining your mom's reaction of you being a superhero. I know. I'm just. Oh,
Yeah,
that would have been
bro.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jewish mother has a superhero son. Jesus Christ.
Just like what?
Playing the loot again, son.
What the fuck was that, Codex?
Yeah, what
I
was
have no
that?
idea. I have no
that's
idea.
that's actually not what Tarek's mom sounds like.
I don't even want to imagine how my parents would react. Mostly because I don't actually know how they'd react.
Anyways. So we have the Miles stuff. He's fighting Spot, humiliates Spot again. And then he somehow, I don't remember how. Oh, now I remember. He gets sucked into his own body and winds up in the Lego universe.
What?
Okay.
Yeah,
It's literally the Daily Bugle set Lego made a while ago, and then we find out Lego Spider-Man is part of the Spidey Task Force, which is really hot.
That is
not just that,
kind of
but PS4
hilarious.
Spider-Man as well.
Oh yeah. Well, that was okay. Actually, Codex. Interesting thing about that. So in the original, we saw the suit. It was clearly a reference to the PS4 game, which had just come out. Obviously, right? Obvious reference or obvious tie-in.
Mm-hmm.
But there is the PS4 Spider-Man who does wear that suit. My question is, did the Ultimate Peter Parker somehow see the Insomniac Peter Parker and then just steal the design?
I blame Madam Web. I blame Madam Web.
Question.
She's not in this movie. That would have made more sense.
Mm.
Especially when they start talking about fate and canon later. That would have made so much more sense if it was Madam Web telling them this. And I'll get to that. Well, I'll get to that when we talk about what was it? Miguel O'Hara. Spider-Man 2099.
Otherwise known as Oscar Isaac, but Spider-Man.
Yes.
Wait, that was Oscar Isaac?
That's Oscar Isaac.
I honestly did not know that. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I always said if I were to cast Oscar Isaac in any like action movie, I would have cast him as Nathan fucking Drake.
Yeah, he would have
been a great Nathan Drake.
He has the look for it.
Yeah. Why the fuck did they get Tom Holland to play Nathan Drake? That makes no sense.
That's
honestly just get Nathan Fillion. I say Nathan
Look,
Fillion.
That would have worked too.
I say it works like this. Sony had a contract with Tom Holland because Spider-Man, and they're like, "Oh,
we need to get rid of him."
Sony, yeah, this is a Sony property.
Pretty much, yeah.
Let's put him in here.
And I guess they didn't have a high school drama to put him in.
You would think, right? You would think they'd have a script lying around they could shit out just to fill a contractual obligation. But we're getting off topic.
Yeah, but
we're getting off topic. Okay, so Spot goes to the Lego universe. Lego Spider-Man, who we never see again, which is kind of disappointing. Because I kind of want to know, is he the size of a Lego compared to the other Spider-Man, or is he full-size Lego man? Who the fuck knows?
That was so hilarious. That'd be great.
that was a good scene. That made me laugh. Okay, so we got that. Oh yeah. So then Gwen Stacy goes to a different universe, and Miles follows her. Again, we're ignoring the parent stuff. It is important, but it's so boring to talk about. You can round it up in it at near the end of the movie why it's important. Anyways, so he follows Gwen to another dimension, which is like Mumbahattan, which is what would have happened if India took over the world.
Fascinating.
It's design-wise, it is interesting. Plot-wise,
how the heck does India take over the world?
No, that's not the problem here. Plot, like they lean into a lot of like topics they should have kept out of. That's as much as I'll say, because this is not what I want to see in a Spider-Man movie. And you know what I'm talking about. You know what? Fuck it. They bring up like the Black Lives Matter thing, the trans lives thing, or the trans flag or whatever. Here's the thing. I don't give a shit about either of that. I've always said let people do what they want as long as it's not hurting me. But that is not what I want to see in a Spider-Man movie. I'm not here to see this. I'm here, and I get it. It's a one-off thing, but it changes so much context.
Are all of these activity things in this specific city? In this India?
Not in the India, but this is stuff in the movie. Like Miles has a Black Lives Matter thing on his backpack. Gwen has a Trans Lives Matter thing in her. Well, actually, I would find this kind of insulting. It's like inside of her drum kit or something. Like inside of the I think they call it the bass drum.
Yeah, it is.
That's kind of I would find that insulting because it's sort of like, yeah, I support you, but I support you in secret.
Yeah. That's
like I
say, that's insulting. But also I think the BLM bit is like, yeah, I imagine Miles
they tell Uncle they have the Uncle Aaron they have the Uncle Aaron graffiti, and it literally says "Rest in Power." Dude worked for the fucking Kingpin.
Rest in Power is such a friggin' cringe statement. It's like, rest in power. The dude is dead. He has no power. It's like, it's rest in peace. For fuck.
Who wants
Plus, he was trying to
who wants power?
Rest in power, gentlemen.
You're not actually allowed to rest when you die.
No. Gentlemen, I have an idea. Yeah. I have an idea. What we do is all those bodies they wish to rest in power, we tap them for unlimited energy.
Oh my god.
We start we attach them like to dynamos or something, and we have them generate power.
And thus,
gentlemen, we
have the created technology. The Matrix universe.
Yeah. Anyway, I think the phrase "rest in power" is an extremely nefarious phrase because it just betrays an obsession with power and wanting to dominate and control, rather than rest in peace. Like, everybody wants to live peacefully and happily. Who doesn't want that?
Zelk, I think this is Zelk makes a good point, though. Miles would have BLM merch. I don't disagree. But again, I don't... This is a Spider-Man movie. I don't want to see reality portrayed here. I don't. I want to see I want to see a guy bring New York together to beat up another guy.
Okay, so here's where you put it. Not necessarily on his backpack, but maybe you have like a scene in his house right at the beginning of the story or something, and it's the setup, and it just so happens there's like a sticker on the window or something, and it like gives you a context
that's what they did.
What era it is and what and it's just one thing. In the same way, I don't know that if it was set in like Britain during the fucking Brexit debacle, everyone had fucking stickers all over their windows that round here at that point. And so you'd have one of those to show what kind of family you've got going on, as like a shorthand.
Here's the thing though. I know I'm into this quite a bit, but it just feels. You guys remember when that Mr. Enter said that turning red was unrealistic because it didn't mention 9/11?
Oh my God.
Okay, so this movie is completely unrealistic because that entire thing wouldn't have happened if it weren't for COVID, but COVID was never mentioned in the movie. So it makes even less sense.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what thing wouldn't have happened?
Though?
The George Floyd thing, the whole... which is where this really took off. But George, you could. I'm throwing myself into a fire here, but I'm in too deep to get out. Basically, I would argue the George Floyd thing would have never happened if COVID never happened. But COVID is never mentioned in this movie or in Ultimate Miles' universe, so it now lacks context.
Yeah. I was going to say, if
think-
it was in like the main MCU, then maybe
If it
you
was the
could
main
argue that
MCU, I
something
would agree with you.
similar could have happened during the
Yeah,
snap or
yeah.
something like that. But yeah.
kind of. Wow, that is just. You're just fucking asking for trouble. Then, like, Jesus Christ, half the universe is gone. Literally half the universe is gone, and this shit happens. Jesus, tap dancing, Christ.
To be fair, the fact that things didn't fall apart to complete destruction more during the snap is kind of unrealistic to me, but that's a whole different avenue.
Well, we'll talk about that later. We're talking about a completely different universe.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I just forgot that it was a different universe thing.
So, anyways, we go to Mumba Hatton, where we meet Indian Spider-Man, and of course, it's Peter Parker, but in Hindi or something. And this part. This is what I mean by a lot of the magic was lost with the original Spider-Verse, because he starts talking about Indian Mumba Hatton, and he says something like, oh, this is where we have this, this, and this. And then he shows a museum, and he says, this is where the British stole all of our stuff. And I said, and I turned to my friend and said, hold the fuck on. So India took over the world, and yet somehow the British still stole their shit?
Don't
The
they miss
eternal
out that
British.
the two superpowers in this universe is the British and the Indians. There's nobody
But
else. It's like
here's-
the equivalent of Russia and the US.
You know what the weirdest part is? He still gets
Yeah.
along. The Indian Spider-Man still gets along well with this British punk Spider-Man, Spider-Punk.
Weirdly, yeah.
Yeah, none of this. You see what I mean by when I say when you bring this stuff up, the entire narrative falls apart.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Star Wars for a second,
Well, it kind of comes.
the-
Oh, sorry.
that's fine. The punk rock Spider-Man, that's voiced by John Boyega.
Really?
Yeah.
What they do? Just pilfer Star Wars? Like said, hey, you guys are out of a job.
Wait, John
Apparently
Boyega voice acts him?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what?
Really?
Credit to John and Oscar. I did not know those were them. They have some range.
I mean,
to be fair,
to be honest, when I mean,
had so
And
When I
also, to
say
be fair, oh, sorry.
when I first saw the after credit sequence for Into the Spider-Verse with Miguel walking in and talking, I was like, oh my god, this guy looks like someone, and his voice reminds me of someone. And my sister pointed out, yeah, that's Oscar Isaac, and I'm like, oh shit. Yeah,
You know what? Good on them. I'm glad that they're still getting work, because
Yeah.
those two were done so fucking dirty.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
Oscar Isaac's
absolutely.
actually amazing. Actually.
Character.
Yeah,
Like,
he is. He is a great
Right.
actor.
to have something there. That would imply they had to have some character development there.
But
And the other thing with John Boyega as well is everyone's used to him with an American accent, but he's actually British, so
yeah,
that probably helped. Yeah.
But he did a really good job playing Spider-Punk. I will admit that.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, so they find Spot in the Alchemax. Yeah.
I just remember what I was going to say before we went off on that. I was just going to say it's weird how like they kind of treat the fact that they get on is making me think it's almost like they're doing the thing where it's like it's not really a serious like hate thing, but they still feel the need to bring it up, and it's kind of petty. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's
I know what you mean.
like a really modern
yeah.
way of being a petty piece of shit where you get along with people from a place, so you're clearly not that hurt, but then you're still going on about all of the horrible things they did, and it's like the person sat there like, so do you hate me or?
It's the modern way of writing racism, ladies and gentlemen.
Here's the reason why this makes even less sense, because the way this Manhattan is built, it's literally a tiered city. It is Codex, how would you describe this? Because it reminds me, I have nothing to compare it to, but
Minas Tirith?
Minas Tirith, that's a good example. Imagine Minas Tirith if it was the entirety of Manhattan, New York. Now,
actually, no, I got a better example. The Mega
What?
Flats from Dread. That's probably a better
no,
example.
I was thinking that was my first thought too, but that doesn't work because that's one building. This is like, you know what it's like? It's like what I believe Wakanda looks like.
Oof.
Okay.
You have
I-
all the.
No, actually, no. I one up you there. Hive Cities from 40K.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Perfect.
yikes.
Perfect. 5 cities in 40K.
Yeah.
It is literally a hive city. And that and the reason why I'm still on this whole British thing is because that would not have been possible unless the city started this way. And that would have had to have happened back in the 1600s, back when New York was first discovered.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
You see my point, though, that this one thing raises so many questions, makes me question the entire world building.
So basically, they dominated everything really early, but they're still like fucked off that like
That the Brits were involved at all.
Yeah, like it's like chill. It sounds a bit like our fucking the British feud with the French, which in fact, if anyone ever wondered, it isn't actually serious. It's us just kicking them sometimes. It's like kicking your sibling, right?
Yeah.
Kick them.
So
I mean, yeah, knowing how well you guys get along today, I got that vibe a long time ago.
You know, yeah.
Moving on though. So, anyways, Spot powers up, gets more powers by using the dimensional machine, and then I know I'm skipping over stuff, and I can remember it as I go, but it's really not that important. Codex, do you agree with me that a lot of this stuff can be glossed over because it's not like this is a very tightly written film?
No, I would agree. Yeah, a lot of the stuff is just fluff. Like most of the stuff doesn't really happen until
The
Spot
midpoint
goes into the Indian dimension.
Yeah, that's where it kind of gets important because that's when you meet Indian Spider-Man, and Spider-Punk.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Punk.
Wait. Whoa. I just had a huge ass question. So, how's the caste system like? Do they ever address that at all in this film?
No, they never bring it up at all. I assume the poor live at the bottom of the city. Anyways, so what happened? Okay, so Spider-Punk kind of shows Miles how to use his electric powers more efficiently, which is fine. But what happens is Spot manages to destroy the building, cut it in half, and this large, modern-looking building starts tumbling down the hive city that is Mumbahattan, and it makes 9/11 look like a child's game. This thing is crushing buildings. It is sliding down a slope of other buildings, and so the 4 spider people are moving around, grabbing as many civilians as they can. My friend turns to me and goes, "They're not saving them all. Entire buildings are being destroyed." I said, "I know. Oh my god, it's a genocide."
Yeah.
Yeah. Jinx. But yeah, holy shit.
Man. And here's the funny thing: they don't ever stop the building. I don't think it just keeps going.
They don't.
Because they stop on the Golden Gate Bridge, which for some reason is in Lost Becca.
No, that's the barmaid. No.
Thought on hold on. Thought on mangy movies lasting for 25 streams. What?
Huh?
I don't know what that means. Anyways, so they don't ever stop the building, so I can only assume once it reached ground level, literally millions are dead.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's just a slum. People, don't worry. They don't matter.
It is just a slum. Don't worry about it. Just the slums.
Hold on. No, you call that an Indian accent. I'll show you. I'll show you an
Please,
Indian
please. I got to do my inner Apu. Thank you. Come again. But anyways, go on, Wissia. Please.
Do not worry. It is only the slum people. They are only
Yes.
slum people.
Oh yes, not very good. Not very good at all. I was doing the doctor from Courage.
You know what?
I'm sorry. My little bro
Tara,
could do
I'm
it
gonna
way
one up the
better.
Hive City. Have you played the Final Fantasy remake, the Final Fantasy VII remake?
Yeah, I have, but it's not like that. It's built one on
Yeah,
top of the other. I
it's
know
like
the
that.
plates, but it isn't though, because everything is built up on top of each other. Like you have skyscrapers built upon shacks.
Shit. Wait a second.
Yeah.
So it's like Coruscant from Star
Actually,
Wars.
that's
Yeah,
no,
actually,
Coruscant's far
no.
neater.
Oh yeah, a much messier.
Point
version
is,
of Coruscant.
millions are dead. Millions are dead after this building falls, all because the
yeah.
Spider-Men stopped to save the equivalent of Gwen Stacy and Captain Stacy. Of course, that was a big no-no because it turns out, because after that, something really weird starts happening. Like, I can't even describe it. Like a black splotch appears at the ground level where all of these Spider-Men show up and start doing something to it. They're trying to stabilize this splotch, and we figure out what it is later. It's very odd, but then Miles, along with the other Spider people, are taken to Nueva York, where Spider-Man 2099 is from. And I actually really, I'll admit, it was a lot of pandering, but I found the Spider HQ actually really cool.
Yeah.
It was the Citadel of Ricks from Rick and Morty. There is no other comparison.
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly what it is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's basically just, it was more fan pandering, essentially.
It was, but you kind of forget just how many costumes Peter has had over the years. Because damn,
you do tend to. Because some time ago, I played the You ever played Shadow Dimensions from Spider-Man? You ever played that one?
Yeah, I played that.
Yeah, it's basically like that, except
no, it's more like
1,000 times.
It's more like it is Shadow Dimensions, yeah, but they've had so many what if comics from Spider-Man since his inception. And they had a lot of cool costume designs, and I like that almost each and every one was a different animation style.
Yeah,
that was
including the '60s one.
That was funny. That was fucking funny. That was amazing. But he had all of 2 frames of animation.
So that's clever. That's actually
that's the thing. That's the reason why I don't think it was as pandery as my friend said it was, because each one was unique.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what was so great about the original version of this. No, the first film is that we have all these different characters. All of them look differently. They're animated differently, and they have their own little gimmicks. That's
what this is too. That's what this is too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get to Spider HQ. We get to see a lot of the kind of what they do. They protect dimensions from incursions where people are jumping around where they shouldn't be. And then we finally meet Oscar Isaacs or Miguel O'Hara. And anyways, I've never read any of the 2099 comics, but I've played a few the Shattered Dimensions.
Yeah,
and according to my friend,
I think that's everyone. I think that's how everyone knows about him. To be fair, like the general.
No, actually, I'd argue 2099 Spider-Man is the second most popular Spider-Man. Like, I would seriously make that argument.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
We get to meet Miguel O'Hara, who is just an absolute dick.
No,
he is like the worst kind of asshole.
Oh my god!
But I turned to my friend halfway when the movie's all of a sudden. I said, "Dude, this guy is fucking insane, and he's a dick." He said, "Yeah, they actually got this character very right. They actually are doing a lot of justice to Miguel." I said, "Holy shit!
Wow,
damn."
apparently he's always been like always been the more Batman Spider-Man, but with more of an attitude. And I didn't like him in the movie, but I get the feeling you're not supposed to like him at all.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that.
You're definitely not supposed to like him.
Yeah, he's actually. I think he's my little brother's favorite Spider-Man. Probably just because of the suit and because red.
Yeah.
He is a great design. He's a great design for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Especially
absolutely.
a futuristic one. But then we get to the father of the fucking year.
Oh boy.
Peter from the first movie comes back, and he actually got that back together with Mary Jane, which I do really like, and they had a kid, Mayday Parker. And
she's fucking
little thing,
adorable, by the way. She is, yes.
She is.
Throughout the entire film.
Here's the funny thing, though. My favorite Spider-Man is not Peter Parker, or my favorite Spider Person is not Peter Parker. My favorite Spider Person is actually Mayday, the one from Marvel Comics 2. And the reason I say that is because with Peter, there's so much baggage there, right? There's so much baggage with that character. With Mayday, there's one continuity, and it's a Spider-Man who actually got support from the people around her. And subconsciously, she may have been one of the people I used as basis when making Aviana. Because she's very agile, very athletic, but she's also a very positive superhero. She doesn't let tragedy get her down the way Peter does. And she doesn't blame herself all the time when things go wrong. In other words, this was a character who learned from her predecessor's mistakes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, we may never see that in Spider-Verse because this Peter is a terrible father.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not in an emotionally abusive way. In more that he is one of the most...
Bring your daughter to work day, essentially.
Yeah, he brings his daughter to the Spider HQ. Okay, all right, fine. Got taking daughter to work. That's fine. Dude's in a pink bathrobe and slippers.
And mind you,
what?
he's eventually. This is another thing as well. He's chasing down Miles with this as well.
I was getting to that.
Yeah.
And not only that, but he made a 1.5-year-old, 1-year-old. It's her own web shooters. Why would a toddler need that?
I mean, at least with Tony Stark's daughter, at least there's fail safes.
Tony, no. Tony did not give his daughter a fucking Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
He didn't say to Pepper, "Hey, sweetie, taking our little girl out. We'll be back in a while." You see the faceplate go down on him, then her.
I am at a genuine. Yeah, that just speaks for itself. I don't need to say anything.
Yeah. And I would honestly argue that if Tony were to do it, that little girl would be the safest little fucking girl on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
at least Tony Stark doesn't bring his daughter to work day.
To be fair, there was no job. But to be fair, there was no way he had a job left. But anyways, so what happens though is that we learn that the reason why Mumbahattan was falling apart or had that giant hole was because they stopped this equivalent of Captain Stacy from dying. And it turns out there are two constants in Spider-Man lore. One, Uncle Ben dies. That's a given. The second is Captain Stacy dies. And Miles' father is becoming captain next week. So immediately, I apologize. I'm getting out of order here. But the moment you saw his father say, "I'm being promoted to captain next week," you're like, red fucking flag in all the fields.
Yep. Always. It's one of two things. Either A, I'm about to retire, or B, no,
I've
not
been promoted.
One of two things. It's I'm about to retire. I'm going to be promoted. I'm going back to my family. Oh, those are like just the widow's kiss of writing. You hear that instantly, you should be like, "Oh, so you're gonna die soon."
And that's also the black parent.
Yeah.
That is the black parent, and that's not me being racist. That's me be going. We have another thing, but we have another guy joining. But continue my thought.
Well,
he was the black parent. It's sort of like, oh, we're going with this trope. Wow.
Yeah. And
Hold
this
on.
is called retiring. It's the Simpson thing.
Hello.
Hello there.
Yo, what's up?
Not much. I literally just finished watching the film.
Okay.
Yeah, like you started while I was like halfway through the film, so.
Well, opportunity waits for no man, Raptor.
I
You
know.
should know that by now.
Holy shit, Raptor!
Mhm.
I was wondering why your voice sounded familiar. Bro,
But
why
anyways,
You thought this was just some random guy popping in?
yeah, I for a moment I did, and then I thought about it for a moment, going, "Oh, it's Raptor."
Yeah.
Anyways, so we'll get to your reaction in a little bit, Raptor. We'll get your reaction a bit. I'm just going through the plot.
Sounds good.
Okay, so anyways, we get to the Captain Stacy bit where they say, "Oh, it's a universal constant. Captain Stacy dies and Uncle Ben dies," and I just went, "Stop! What about the original movie with Tobey Maguire? There was no Captain Stacy. Only Uncle Ben died.
Mm-hmm.
So why didn't that universe just fall apart when it began?"
Maybe Captain Stacy just died off screen. You never know.
We didn't even know about Gwen Stacy until movie 3, and by then no one cared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit odd that was like part of the criteria. Like, oh, it specifically has to be a loved one or somebody that's like has some kind of personal connection with Peter, who's also a captain. That's oddly specific.
That's why I said it makes no sense, because one of the most I did like the scene where they showed Andrew Garfield, because No Way Home kind of made me realize that guy would have he got Henry Cavilled. He got fucking cheated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
the Tom Holland Spider-Man didn't have a captain that he knew that died.
It's even unclear if he even really had an Uncle Ben that died.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
that was referenced.
It was on the suitcase, but it was still really unclear how he died.
Yeah, instead it was
Also,
Aunt May who dies this time around.
Yeah, and that was, we're getting off topic, but I will say, like, I like that's what he become. He goes from Spider Boy to Spider Man.
Mm-hmm.
Starts acting like a fucking man. Anyways, I'm trying to think now. Okay, so we learned about the Captain Stacy thing and how his father is going to be captain and he's going to die soon. Yada yada yada. Oh, Becca's back.
Welcome
Hi.
back.
Finally noticed me. Goodness me.
Oh,
To be fair, I'm not really looking at the
Sweetheart,
screen
right now, sweetheart, right now is not about you. Right now, we're
Oh.
talking about superhero shit, and that overrides any female interference.
Damn.
Excuse you.
So
I find that extremely
Woman,
rude.
stop interfering!
Somebody tells me,
Interfering.
oh boy, you two are gonna have one hell of a relationship. I can already tell.
We do this
You
like
know
every
it's bad when
day.
Tarek knows the food before you.
This is literally how we get started. We start by yelling at each other, and then we go, "Okay, so that's done. We don't have to do that the rest of the day."
Yeah, you know.
Mhm. No, it's like
He's yelled woman at me.
Yeah, it's
Already today. It's not going to happen again.
you have fulfilled the quota.
Exactly.
Now you may continue being happy.
You know.
I
Make some snarky jabs.
learned it by watching my grandparents. This is how they communicated.
oh.
And anyways,
Anyway.
moving on. So anyways, we learned that Miles, of course, is not going to Miles' credit, he's not going to sit by and watch his father die. So he tries to escape, and then Miguel.
Oh my god! Wait, I just realized what the trope was that you said earlier. It's like, oh, we're doing that trope again because I just realized.
I
Oh,
explained it
Yeah,
10 minutes
oh
ago.
my god.
Miles is going to be
crying out
fatherless.
loud.
Oh wait.
Oh, not that. Oh, that wasn't that trope. Although that is the one I did miss. I was talking about how the black guy dies first. Anyways,
Either
so,
way.
so we see all hell breaks loose, and all the Spider-Men are trying to capture Miles so he can't interfere with his father's death. And this includes Peter, who brings his baby with him on this insane chase.
Yeah, like a T-Rex Spider-Man was also involved.
That's the thing. You see a lot of variations of Spider-Man throughout this movie. And one of the you get the 60s one, you get some of my favorites too. Like you get to see Spinneret Mary Jane as Spider-Man from the Renew Your Vows comic, which I liked. It was sort of like a run of Spider-Man if Spider-Man was doing the Incredibles thing with Mary Jane and May Parker. So that was cute. I like that little reference. Not only that, but you only get to see Penny once in the movie, and I really liked Penny in the original. I like her gimmick. I like her design. So that was disappointing that you only see her once.
Yeah, she was also a weep, so it makes sense why you'd like her.
I have the power to kick your ass out of here, Codex.
What?
That wasn't Codex. That was
Dino. It was Raptor.
What was that noise?
Well, Codex, I'm gonna kick your ass out of here. And it is good. The reason why I said Codex was because I was looking at Raptor's thing, and I had Codex right above it, so I was paying more attention to the picture than the name. And where Raptor was where Codex was before. That's why I got that confused. Anyways, Raptor,
I'm sorry, guys.
Raptor, I'm gonna kick Codex if you don't shut your fucking mouth.
No.
I'm in too deep. No, he needs to learn a lesson. He'll sacrifice one of his friends.
You can kick me all you want, but don't kick Codex. Don't do it.
You heard him. I had his permission. I have his permission.
No, don't do it. No, I said don't do it.
No, I mean to kick you.
Oh.
Anyways,
you guys are crazy. Why the heck do I stick around?
Why the fuck do I let you people in?
Oh no, you tell me. You're the guy who let us on.
Anyways. So you get the chase scene, you get Peter being a really irresponsible dad. You have Miguel essentially turn into a raving lunatic. Like he's out for blood on Miles.
Oh my god.
He is out for fucking blood.
The funny thing about that as well, isn't he kind of like a vampire or something? Because he had when he was fighting the vulture in
the beginning,
he had like elongated fangs or something.
I think he's just supposed to look more like a spider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's my assumption.
Like,
he's more spider than man now.
Okay, that was cute.
Oh god.
Anyways, so you get to have a heart-to-heart between Peter and Miles, and Peter keeps telling him, "Hold my baby," and I get it. He's a proud dad, but he's kind of going into a full-fledged lunatic as well.
Yeah.
And
you ever met a dad?
You don't understand. Like, this is complete. He's completely unfucking hinged at this point.
Yeah, he's autistically unhinged.
Yeah. Anyways, so then you learn why he wants Miles to hold the kid so much, because he says Miles kind of made him gave him enough courage to actually have the kid, like with Mary Jane, and that's a sweet moment. And I get the sentiment. Still kind of has that feeling of like why Gwen is obsessed with him. Like, all of a sudden, everyone loves fucking Miles Morales.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, because in the first film, they barely knew each other. Like, they knew, like, even Peter, he only knew each other for like a week or something.
Like 3 days. I clocked it in at like 3 days.
Yeah.
We are.
Like I understand that they all have they're all fairly empathetic towards each other because nobody else and any other like nobody else within their worlds knows what it's like to be a Spider-Man. But now that we have an entire society of Spider-Man, that feeling kind of erodes because now you have so many other people that do who
Like
share
they didn't know about each other.
vaporizes.
They didn't know
It
about
just
each other before.
vaporizes.
They didn't know each other before, so that's fine. But now that you have this, it's just it. I'll get to the multiverse thing later. But actually, that therapy scene was funny in context. Like it was still funny with the Uncle Ben thing.
Yeah.
How you have a spider psychologist, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Bro,
Okay.
at some point, some guy, the next Spider-Man just gonna come and is like, "Oh man, it was so horrible, man." And then my Uncle Ben, he died, and everybody's just like, "We know."
No, that's the That was the
But-
whole thing.
That was yeah. But and then okay, so Miguel's still out for blood. And then eventually Miles manages to get back to the Spider HQ, where he manages to get in this dimensional device where he can go home. But but something's wrong when he goes there because Gwen follows him. I missed a bit. I apologize.
What
after-
actually happened?
No, hold on. I'm about to get to that, Raptor. Whose show is this?
Not the dinos.
It's not yours. Anyways, so Miles manages to escape, and then Miguel holds Gwen responsible because she was the one who brought Miles here. So he forces Gwen to go home to confront her homicidal father. And obviously, when she goes home, sorry, I'm thinking. When she goes home, it turns out that Captain Stacy quit the Force, and she comes to the realization, well, the captain can't die if there is no captain, unless it's just some random other captain. At least that's my interpretation. Dad won't die, but some other guy on the police force is about to get whacked.
Yeah.
But
Sucks
yeah.
to be him.
It wasn't hard.
Part
It was a hard.
of the
cutscene,
criteria
though.
is
I
that
won't lie
the
about that.
captain would have to also know about the spider person in general. So I guess that'll be a future development.
yeah, they're gonna have to. They have a lot of holes to fix, like in the next movie, if they fix them at all. But anyways, so he gives her his support. She gets Spider-Punk, who was fucking around with some of the computers earlier in the movie, gives her a makeshift dimensional transporter. And while all this is happening, Miguel grabs Ben Reilly's Scarlet Spider and Jessica Drew to help them find Spot. Because I actually forgot, because Spot disappears from the movie after the Moomba Hatton thing. And he does not reappear until like the very end. And they said that we're going after Spot. I kind of did a double take and said, oh yeah, there's a villain in this movie that isn't Miguel.
Yeah.
So anyways, we cut back to Miles. He crashes on the roof. He goes back to his room and he's talking to his mom about, oh yeah, he tells his mom, I'm Spider-Man, but his mom says, who the fuck's Spider-Man? And then he realizes he's on the wrong Earth because the spider that bit him is from Earth 42, not from Earth 1610, which is where the Ultimate Universe is. He's literally in the wrong fucking place. So that means we have a Miles Morales missing.
Well,
No, we don't. I apologize. I take that back. I take that back. I just remember what happened.
Let's not say who it is at the moment.
Well, I'm going to spoil it.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, I
already
know,
know
still.
it, so,
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so he goes into the living room. His mom's saying, "Who the fuck's Spider-Man?" And then you find out Uncle Aaron is still alive from the first movie. And so while all this is happening, he takes Miles up to the roof. and he's saying, "You remember the plan about the windows?" Miles is doing his usual thing of talking out of his ass, but he's not any good at it. Going, "Yeah, I remember, but can you go through the plan again?" Gets thwacked in the back of the head, wakes up tied to a punching bag, and is talking to Uncle Aaron saying, "Oh, you don't want to do this. You always said you want to be a good guy. I know you're the Prowler." And he goes, I ain't the Prowler. Turn around. There's the Prowler. Shocker. It's fucking Miles.
Bum bum
Wow.
bum.
And there was like no build up to that. That's just a thing that happens.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. This is kind of a side thing, but it reminds me a lot of. It reminds me of like the He-Man Netflix thing, or the Masters of the Revelation thing. Or
Whatever.
something.
Masters of the
Whatever.
Universe.
Let's not give the title because I don't want to support whatever the fuck his face is. But go on.
Kevin Spacey. Yeah.
No, Kevin Smith. Kevin
Oh my
Spacey.
God. Jesus Christ.
I just caught that.
Same person.
Heyo.
Same idea. Same
Anyone
person.
called Kevin,
Same
you know,
difference.
probably Kevin Spacey if you're called Kevin.
Anyways, go on.
Sods Kevins.
Codex, you were saying something though?
Yeah, it reminds me of that twist because it's not really a twist, really. It's just
Happens.
yeah, it just happens. I was like, oh, was this supposed to be a shocker? Because I'm not.
It's not.
surprised.
That was never built up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, you know what? I just realized it's not that we have a missing Miles. We have a missing Peter Parker. What the fuck's he doing?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Eating
Like
pizza?
it did.
I don't know.
Oh, not only that, but I forgot because this is the Sony universe. You are not allowed to have the other heroes. So New York just falls into madness. Apparently, the Sinister Six still exist. You have all of these other villains running around, and no one to stop them.
Yeah.
Except,
Okay.
you still have Venom and Morbius. What are they up to?
Being mean?
I
don't
imagine
know.
Morbius is sitting around being shit canned, and Venom is off bombing.
Because
At the box
the Venom
office.
in the Sony verse does not have connections to Peter.
That is
Mhm.
correct.
So it's not reliant on Spider-Man having the black suit. Weird, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, you learn this Miles is the Prowler. He has like this fade. I think they call it a fade or something. The hairstyle. And then at the end of the movie, you have Peter Parker along with Penny, and we only get to see Spider-Man Noir, Nicolas Cage Spider-Man, once in the movie at the very end. Basically, the guys from the first movie show up, and they're going to go off to rescue Miles, and then a movie ends on a cliffhanger
Mhm.
where all this hell's breaking loose. And my friend turns to me and says, "I am so fucking sick of this multiverse bullshit." And I said, "I agree with you. It's old. I'm tired of it. This is getting ridiculous."
Mhm.
Because feels like there's a lot of plot holes in this movie because of the multiverse thing. Because the whole idea of the multiverse is that it's decisions you either made or didn't make, or you either make or you don't make. So the whole Captain Stacy thing and even the Uncle Ben thing falls apart due to the laws of probability.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's never 100% guarantee when you're dealing with probability. Very rarely.
And not only that, but Miles even tells Miguel that, like, you can't be certain this is what will happen. And he's right.
Yeah.
Not only that, but why is I know they said the reason why they have to keep canon going is because the entire Spider-Verse will fall apart if it doesn't. But why? Why does it fall apart?
Also, here's a question: why does universe jumping have to be like automatically? The plot has to be about the universes falling apart and everything ending. Why can't it just be like I gotta get home. You know,
Mhm.
or like, or
because we want the most amount of spider people in at once, so that can't be the
Yeah.
plot.
yeah,
My-
but
We
you
also
can
want
you can
Merchandising,
yeah, but
We
merchandising.
also, we
But
also
you
want
can
to
get
overblow the
lost.
stakes.
and you can kind of fall down accidentally meeting them all, or they all get lost for a particular reason. They have to defeat a certain thing in order to go home, kind of thing.
Actually, the comic that Spider-Verse is based on makes far more sense because that's
Actually,
about
Shadow Mentions makes more sense than this as well.
say what?
Shadow Mentions, that makes more sense.
That because the whole Moreland thing is a bunch of people going out and actually hunting spider people. They're literally eating them.
Yeah.
And that's like that makes so much more sense because it's a threat specific to Spider-Man, and Miles would be involved in that. So if you had the movie be involved with like someone specifically targeting Miles, and it turns out they've been wiping out the Spider-Verse, you could make that into a movie easily.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that.
Nope.
I'll be right back, guys. I'm really thirsty, so just keep it going if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't seen this film.
Quick, kill the
only-
dino.
Yes, we're jumping right now.
Kill the
Yeah,
fucking
right.
dino. He needs to die right now.
Yes,
Don't worry
That'll
about that.
go
I'll
well.
give him tea.
Huh?
Yeah, he'll
I'll give
yeah,
him tea.
Codex will civilize me. Don't worry.
yes.
I
He'll
don't want a
civilize-
civilized dino. I want the dino to go back to where it belongs in the fucking Cretaceous period.
Well, it's not like I can go back
Give him
there.
this
No,
one, I'll become Spider-Man or something.
I feel like
Okay.
a dino. That was a euphemism for killing you.
Yeah. So,
Anyway,
Yeah.
enough talking about trying to murder each other. I haven't seen this film. Everything I know is just coming out of you guys. So
I mean,
and-
me too. I'm just making stupid comments about random
Yeah,
shit.
Funny. That's the thing.
Mhm.
so
Oh, thank you.
So does this film seriously just end with Miles Morales in the custody of Miles Morales, and that's it?
Yeah, because
Yeah. Yeah,
here's
that's
the
where it
funny thing.
ends.
It sounds like it sounds like a Mary Sue trope. Like the only thing that like the main character fears of it is itself essentially. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I will say
That-
Miles Morales is like by the latter
would
half of the film, I would say he is a Gary Stu because you literally have every
Yeah.
single other Spider-Man who's had years of decades of experience of being Spider-Man. And on top of that, they have different experience as well. So the fact that he's able to not only outsmart all of them, but also outmaneuver them and outrun them and everything, like literally every other Spider-Man.
Okay, I can make that
how-
one exception. Is the only one exception I could say is the 60s Spider-Man because he's only 2D. Come on, give him a break.
Here's the thing about that. I was okay with that simply because that's just the nature of this movie. And I know that's not an excuse, but I'm kind of okay with it because it's made to be a dynamic action scene. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. It also
Yeah,
led to some of the
it's
best gags in the movie.
It's not too bad, but I feel like it will become a major problem in the next film or something like that. If that
No,
makes
if
sense.
It's very entertaining, though. Admittedly, yes,
yeah,
but
yeah. I'm not saying it's not entertaining.
I'm willing to write that one off to the rule of cool. I'm willing to write that one off.
In relation to the bit that you said, I think it was just before Tarek got back, but about like it being a Gary Stu thing, that the only thing that could defeat him is himself. I don't know. I don't know the context of the movie, but I would maintain that's probably more of like it's a bit cringy, but like an internal struggle of like the thing you actually have to face is yourself. Like is kind of quite
like
a
facing
poignant
the-
thing sometimes.
Yeah,
The
facing
only
You know, like
issue I have with that is that-
Integrating your shadow type deal, you know.
well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not set up. That's the thing. It like he
Yeah,
No.
okay.
like the literally last 5 minutes of the film.
Wait, hold on. I just thought about something. Why didn't his spider sense go off before Aaron whacked him?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know he has it.
Like there were a lot of instances where like Gwen or like Peter should have noticed things, but their spider sense didn't kick in.
I think they forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, the spider sense thing to me has always just been like a BS defensive mechanic. Is like, oh, I suddenly sense that I am in danger, and I will now perfectly dodge this because I just have this sixth sense that always tells me when something bad is about to happen to me. Although at the same time, I am in no position to say that, considering what I've created. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, Spider-Man overall, I think would be better if that ability just was completely removed because it doesn't really add anything interesting to him. It's just a cool
No.
ability for him to. Like,
That's
again,
not true. That's not true because that scene they actually used it very effectively in Spider-Man 2001 or 2002
Hmm.
because the glider with Osborn,
yeah,
that
you're
was
right,
one of the best moments that was ever used.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah.
only that, but
Yeah.
I'm just talking about like the average in terms of like how that ability has been used across multiple interpretations of his character. Like overall, it hasn't been used very well.
I'd argue it's been used to quite effectively in a lot of different things, but it was not because they forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what about that scene in No Way Home
Which one was
with
that?
the
Oh,
Spidey
the
Spidey
thing?
sense scene in No Way Home? What do you think about that one?
It's been forever since I've seen that movie, and we're not here to talk about No Way Home.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
They are tangentially related in that they've used.
Yeah,
the
but we're
same
here. We're
concept.
talking about Spider-Verse. I'm getting hungry. So
Fair
Don't
enough.
don't annoy Tarek when he's
Yeah.
hungry. It's a bad idea.
here's the. Anyways. Okay, Raptor, you just finished it. What did you think overall?
It was mid.
Okay, so that's what I thought too. Codex.
Yeah, I would say mid.
It was much like Miles. It's a very mid movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But again,
not bad.
I'm not
It's just-
saying that out of malice because I actually really liked Miles in the first one. Hell, I like him in the original PS4 game. It's just that after that movie, they don't know. That's the problem with Miles. They don't know what to do with him. He doesn't have his own rogues gallery. He borrows everything he has from other Spider-Man, literally, because Miguel was the one who had I think he has the electric powers. I think he does too. But they borrow everything from every other Spider-Man, and Miguel just does not have any villains of his own. Hell, Spot isn't even his villain. That was a villain from like the 80s.
Yeah, damn, that's not very good. Not a very good sign for the
No,
character, specifically a comic book character. I mean, the hero is only as incredible as the villains he overcomes, and overcoming somebody else's villains is kind of just lame. There isn't really any personal stake or connection over there. It's just sort of oh yeah, this is a big bad evil guy that I got to beat. Which,
I have no emotional connection to this guy, so I'm just gonna kick his ass.
yeah, exactly. Like if they kept, I think of a great idea. They should have kept the Prowler as a villain.
I get why they killed him off because they needed the Uncle Ben scene, and that was actually very effective. A really nice twist on that in the first movie, and that kind of cemented Miles's character, which I really liked because he was indirectly responsible for his uncle's death, like Peter was. But again, the problem with Miles is that he doesn't have his own rogues gallery, and he's not the Robin to Peter's Batman. He's not a Robin character, so we can't really use Peter's villains because again, there's no emotional attachment there.
Yeah, I could
almost
definitely.
He's almost like a piece that doesn't have a part to play in.
And they even say that in the movie, but it rings hollow in the movie because this is Miles's story.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's just a fundamental flaw with the character. No one knows what to do with Miles. But then again, no one knows what to do. Well, actually, that's not true. And the reason why Miles really doesn't work is because Gwen, does have all the Peter's villains, but they're different variations. The reason why it doesn't work with Miles is because he was in a world where they already had Ultimate Spider-Man. So all he did was pilfer Ultimate Spider-Man's villains. They couldn't do what they did with Gwen. And now he's part of the main MCU, well, not the MCU, but the main canon, and they're left with this character they have no idea what to do with, and I think it's the same problem they had with Miss Marvel. No one knows what to do with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had it when a character becoming redundant like that. That's probably just like some of the worst thing that you could possibly have happen, because they're just sitting there. Nobody cares. Nobody's invested, and why would anybody watch any of their stuff?
One of the other problems is, and I've been watching the DC animated movies over the last week, just because I wanted to, and it's sort of like the problem with the Bat family now. It's too fucking big. There are too many characters. You don't need all these characters.
The term you're looking for is bloat.
There is a lot of bloat, and not only that, but Spider-Man should not be a multiverse character. He's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He should not be patrolling the fucking multiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said it yourself, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, not friendly interdimensional galaxy hopping spider deity who's also a dude.
This is why I said it should have been Madam Web instead of Miguel O'Hara, who was doing the multiverse shenanigans. That would have made far more sense that it's this mystical thing rather than this scientific thing.
I would argue you probably have, like, you're kicking it to, like, Madam Web is like the main chairman of this whole thing, but he's like
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, granted, even in the 90s, Spider-Man was doing the multiverse thing, but that was like a one episode thing. Well, it was the end of the series, I should say. So it made sense there that you'd have all these different Spider-Men, but that should not be his main gimmick.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I think people just simply do not grasp the scale of something like a multiverse properly. Like, the first movie leveraged the idea of the multiverse pretty well.
Mostly because it just took place within Miles' universe. It wasn't... There wasn't a lot of like universe jumping here or there. It's mostly just, okay, these anomalies are just invading our universe, and which made it a more self-contained conflict as opposed to an overtly external conflict.
Yeah, and also they didn't have this huge universe-ending stakes involved. It's just a simple little story, lower stakes, easy to relate to, and it properly leverages the subject matter or the multiverse, rather than going full Doctor Strange. Because this actually kind of reminds me. It kind of sounds like some of the issues that Doctor Strange in a Multiverse of Madness had with its universe building.
What universe? Here's the thing. I kind of like that movie, but what universe building?
Exactly.
Yeah. At least you kind of get the idea. We only visit like 3 universes in this one, but at least I understand how they work. It just makes no sense why they work that way. Like Nueva York, that makes sense. Miguel just fucking took over the damn place.
Damn.
At least that's what it looks like.
Well, also, can't say bro doesn't get shit done.
Yeah. But it was just man, what a mess of a movie.
It's not a bad film. It's just
it's mid.
There's a lot of things holding it back.
I and not only that, but I didn't care for the conflict because it was not a personal conflict, really. It was just Miguel O'Hara being a dick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
so
it sounds like they had two separate ideas for a movie, and rather than deciding on one, they tried to mash them both together.
I
This is what
think
it sounds like.
I don't think that's the issue. I think it's an issue of it's nowhere. It's like the Lego Movie 2. It's nowhere near as tightly written, and it's sort of like the second season of Clone High, from what I've heard. Because I love the first season. That show is great, but the heart is missing.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The heart is what's missing here.
Yeah, it's a lot of this sounds like deliberate handicaps, like self-sabotaging.
Yeah, but overall, it was just a very. I was disappointed. I'll go see the last one because I'm not insulted by it. I thought it was just all right, but
It was fine.
it was fine. But I wanted I would have loved something similar to the original, where there's a lot of heart to it. There's a lot. You know what they could have done? They could have really played more on the whole Peter teaching Miles thing.
Yeah.
But he doesn't show up till halfway through the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they can't know less.
The mentor joke's gonna fall flat because of this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And not only that, but why is Spider Dad involved in all this? Like, why would Miguel recruit I get it. He's 616 Peter. I get it. That's why he's here. But why him specifically? Also, did they just recruit everyone but Miles?
Well, I'd say that the main reason why
Seems to be.
Miguel didn't want to recruit Miles was because he viewed Miles as a mistake, someone who obviously shouldn't exist, and that was his reasoning.
And here's the funny thing. That was a lot of people's reaction to Miles initially when he came out, so I feel like it's a commentary on that. But he's not but Miguel has no right to talk. He's not a Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
He was any other Spider-Man in that.
You have literally thousands of Peter Parkers in this one building. You only have like one Miguel O'Hara.
Hell, one's an anime.
Mm-hmm.
But her name is still like Penny Parker. It still works.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking about the freaking naming convention and why is it?
No. We're talking about that he views Miles Morales. Actually, my friend pointed something out to me. So he said Miles Morales is a mistake. Okay, let's go with that for a moment. There's technically two Miles Moraleses because there's the Insomniac game. Who has Miles in it is Spider-Man, and Insomniac Spider-Man is in this movie. So he's not a mistake. He's an anomaly, but he's supposed to be there.
Yeah, okay. This sounds botched. This is a botched and contrived attempt at conflict.
Yeah, that's why my friend pointed that out to me, and I kind of forgot that Miles was in the PS4 game. But then I remembered, oh yeah, Insomniac is there. What the fuck then? There's two Miles Moraleses. So he's not a mistake. He's like Miguel. He's an anomaly, but he is supposed to be there.
I hate this. This is already stupid.
I think the anomaly was that he was bitten by a spider from another dimension. That was the actual anomaly. It's not Miles himself. But that's
if that's the case, it's just a really bizarre coincidence that spider just so happened to bite on someone whose name was Miles Morales.
Yeah.
When another alternate universe was Miles Morales, whose spider was supposed to bite him.
Okay, to be fair, if you played the PS4 game, that spider was on Mary Jane's back for like probably 2 hours, didn't bite her. Yeah. But the moment it sees Miles, it goes, ooh, dark meat.
Yeah, it was fake.
And that's the only way I can describe that, because I have no idea why this spider was so damn picky.
Yeah. They didn't
Much
think about it.
better.
They did. You weren't supposed to think about it. Just shut up and consume.
That is like the one small problem with it's not even a plot hole because obviously they're doing the Miles Morales thing from the comics. It's just one of those things that's weird that it took so long for that spider to bite him.
I got nothing else to add to that. That's pretty self-explanatory. Why the heck? It's just a lot of obvious issues that I don't think anybody can just simply write off or ignore. Like you have to be a special kind of person to hear these sort of issues and immediately try bending over backwards to justify it.
I can't. I can't justify any of this because it doesn't. None of it makes any sense. Like
another thing I will point out is that if every Spider-Man is supposed to realize that, like someone personal, specifically like a captain, is supposed to die in the future, like obviously a lot of other Spider-Man would also go through the same dilemma as Miles Morales, which in turn means that a lot of these Spider-Man would have experience in trying to tackling down other Spider-Man.
Hold on. You just made me realize something. Do you think they got time travel mixed up with multi-dimensional travel with time travel?
That is entirely a possibility. I would not put it past them.
But I guess based off of the fact that it's happened to every other Spider-Man, they just assume that it'll happen to Miles Morales.
I know, but you get my point, right? Because the way they're describing it is like, oh, it's not canon. Canon falls apart if you do this, and it's sort of like, no, I'm pretty sure that's time travel because, again, we've discussed this, but the way multiverses work is it's either the decisions you made or events that have happened or did not happen. That's how a multiverse works. For example, there's a multiverse where I met none of you, and I was probably
You're probably a much happier person. Yeah, obvious joke is obvious.
Obvious joke is obvious, but then I remembered Becca's in the room. And I go, probably shouldn't finish that sentence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now there was
true.
Hold on. Now there was another universe where I did finish that sentence, and Becca probably just said we're through.
Yep. And for added measure, through the copy of your novel that I have in my lap, right out my window, in that moment, as symbolism.
I see. So you are an excellently written character.
Yeah, the book symbolizes your relationship.
Actually, it literally does.
It does, I know.
But point is, one more thought. Do you think they take time travel into account with this multiverse shit? Because then we start getting into some weird fucking territory.
Fuck no, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
I feel like that would. I feel like at that point, it's no longer a tangled web. It's like Christmas lights. You'll never get them apart again.
Yeah. Also, since it's confirmed that I think Miguel even referenced Doctor Strange at the beginning.
He did that dork from 199 or whatever.
Yeah, which implies that this multiverse is the same as the multiverse in the MCU, and it just
oh god, please no.
Oh no.
Yeah, because Andrew Garfield is in both MCU, is in both multiverses.
Oh, he is. You're right.
Oh my god,
it's those Toby.
You're right. Holy shit, you're right. That means that it's all canon in the MCU. The MCU is canon.
Point is, I agree with my friend though. This whole multiverse thing has become such a fucking mess.
Yeah. This is why I just will not ever touch it. I will not touch it for a very long time.
I've actually wanted to. I won't lie. I thought about this, and I kind of wanted to do a stories of Shadows of Tyrion where all the characters are just straight up villains. Like Aviana moves from the spy class to like this pseudo assassin class.
I mean, I have
Good.
been thinking about like doing a funny little spin-off where it's like just a dark mirror of what I ended up writing, like just an alternate universe, and just for the fun of it. But yeah,
My favorite one though is Tarek, because essentially he have you ever seen an evil bard?
no, we haven't.
Way I
So-
Jimmy
see it
count?
going. Say what?
Does Jimmy come from South Park?
No. I mean like dark fantasy evil
Oh,
bard.
okay.
Way I see it is like what he would be doing is he would be essentially doing the Pied Piper thing. He's kidnapping people, he's leading vermin into cities, he's extorting money, and then given that
Ooh,
he's
that's
a
a great
mage, he's
idea,
probably
actually.
say what?
That's a great idea for an idea.
But anyway, he probably wouldn't be able to obtain political power and be one of those big bad guys, but he's powerful enough that he could probably start his own cult, like the Vermin cult or something.
well, damn.
He's the reason for the
Pretty
Black
cool.
Death.
He's the reason for the Black Death. He's responsible for children going missing. He's responsible for entire houses being robbed. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
Goddamn,
that's
Plague Tale has a lot
damn.
of different context nowadays, doesn't it?
Say what?
You ever played Plague
What?
Tales?
I thought
I
you
thought you
said
said
Plato.
Plato.
I
was
thought
like,
you said
what the
Plato
fuck?
too. I was saying what?
I
What do you
thought I
mean?
heard Plague
Plato
Tales.
is entirely different.
I was just gonna make a joke about the dark side of Tarek, but there we go.
We're diving into history now, huh? Speaking of history, what are your thoughts on the Leonardo da Vinci references at the beginning?
I liked it. I thought that was
Oh yeah,
really
I love
cool.
that.
Yeah,
That was
I love that too.
Here's the thing, design-wise, especially for the villains and the art style, top of the line. The entire movie aesthetically, top of the line.
Yeah,
It's just-
like one of the few pros of having a multiverse is that you can experiment with so many different animation styles, and
Right.
it's just a feast for the eye.
It is. I really did enjoy that, but I told it to my friend. 10 out of 10 animation, art style, and everything else. Maybe a 6 or a 5 in terms of plot.
Yeah, I give it a 5.
Oh, and I was thinking it would be a 4 from what
No,
I've
it's not.
heard,
It's
but-
not. It's not that bad.
It's not average MCU film level bad. It's a bit better than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it's mediocre.
Yeah, I mean, 4 out of 10 for me is it's below average because 5 is average. to
Well,
me.
that's the thing. This I would
Yeah.
argue this is a very like as we said, this is a very mid movie.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Like,
I guess that the reason why I say is because from the conversation, it has been been heavily slanted towards the negative side. So
well, that's
probably
because
how
we're
it
talking
goes.
about a movie, which is a story, and you have to talk about the story. It's hard
Yeah.
to explain that it looks nice. It's much easier to say, here's the problems with the plot.
Mhm.
Hmm.
One positive I will provide is Malice's relationship with his father and mother. I thought that dynamic was better than it was in the first film.
When we
Because
started,
it's more- Mhm.
when we started, like I know that's a big plot point, but it just went on for too long. Like you could have
Yeah.
probably cut out about 10 minutes.
Mhm. Yeah, the pacing for the first act was awful. We'll skip it. Especially since it took up like half the film.
But like I did like the conversation he had with his dad as Spider-Man. That was a nice conversation.
Yeah, that was great.
That was great. But the rest of it, like it just went on for way too long. And those parents, I would have thought those parents were Asian with how much they were putting down on him down.
Oh man.
But yeah, those. So overall, if you like the first one, you'll probably like this one, but it's definitely not as strong. That's my final thought on this.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean, just
Incredible
based off of the
2.
limited information I know, if you are a fan of the animation in the first one, you'll definitely like this one.
Oh, you definitely will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If
yeah.
you were a fan of the story, I'm assuming you were. I have a feeling that you'd probably come out a little disappointed.
Yep, that's a fair assessment.
Oh well.
All right, everyone. Well, I gotta get going. I just want to say thank you for joining me. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you all later.
Yep.
All right. See
Same
you.
here.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good day. Bye.
Have a good one.